Over 100,000 years ago, and globally, the then already reigning last glacial would get colder and colder, and also more arid and dustier. This was especially the case between 45,000 and 42,000 years ago, exactly in the center of the period from 47,000 to 41,000 years ago, when the Aurignacian culture thrived in the Polygonal Wall range. Obviously all living cultures, including any Atlantis-likes, would have noticed the cooling etc. from onset on, and maybe even had studied that same pattern during former glacials, which all followed the same pattern, of a cyclus of roughly 100,000 years of getting colder, more arid, and dustier, and they were very much and painfully aware of the 100,000 years of getting colder, more arid, and dustier, that lie in front of them. That is also the probable reason they extensively studied climate and even long-term cycles, like also the 25,700 years long precession cycle of the Earth axis, in all or many of its aspects, even in aspects that the general public, and even the majority of our scientists today are not aware of, and certainly not familiar with. Any advanced culture in the Andes, where at least part of the ancestral markers point out the core of the global Atlantis-like culture to have resided, could have come under pressure to make expeditions, also or mainly to warmer and resource-rich zones in other continents, and also to prepare such intercontinental zones to become more suited for them to expand to and or migrate to. This at least until the next interglacial or warmer period, that roughly would start 100,000 years later, which now is roughly 8,000 years ago. That interglacial or warmer period, that is called the Holocene, came in full swing. Only 8,000 years ago, with a few important events roughly 13,000 years ago, which are closely related to the so-called Younger Dryas, the extinction of megafauna as well as certain human groups that were more related to megafauna, and also Göbekli Tepe, etc. In other words, in these prospective suitable regions they would need to start turnovers and mining in advance, and next they would need to prepare the mostly polygonal foundations of their planned and future cultures, that at least in cases include Acropolis-like structures for some of the planned cultures and or locations or cities. Also from ancestral markers we already know they were out of Americans, and at that time they disposed mainly of Y-DNA haplogroup Q, this also to send out first, most probably for initial reconnaissance and supervising. Next to Q they provingly also disposed of Y-DNA haplogroup C, Neanderthals, and Denisovans. We know this because modern and ancient DNA provided by our scientists prove us that information. It is just consensus and also the alternative historians that keep on negating and do not pass on what our modern and most advanced scientists provide to us all. Consequently, the general public stays unaware of these disruptive and revolutionizing discoveries. Initially, all these groups would be sent out exclusively or dominantly from South America, and this dominantly to the warmer and resource-rich future polygonal building regions or range. In this range in which the polygonal structures were planned and would be built several tens of thousands of years ago, even today you still find low frequencies of the ancestor Y-DNA haplogroup Q and C amongst the modern humans with dominantly R1b, and obviously fossils, and also low frequencies of the Neanderthals and even Denisovans classes and DNA. When it comes to the region of the polygonal walls in Europe and Western Eurasia, the found fossils are largely limited to Neanderthals. Nevertheless, Denisovans are found there as well amongst the oldest of fossils. Exceptionally, human supervisors and working-class Neanderthals would be sent to, or together took part in expeditions to the Linkombian Renischen LRJ, rich resource mountain ranges. This to harvest essential ores and resources they did not find or not enough in the by them inhabited polygonal structures range itself. Contrary to the polygonal structures range, in these exceptional ranges they would not prepare similar polygonal structures, nor Acropolis-like structures for their cultures, because these locations were too cold for cultures, and or too isolated from the routes these humans explored and controlled. It is obvious that wherever necessary they would turn over or replace species already in place, that could somehow hinder them. Once the essential and or sufficient basic polygonal structures were in place, the Aurignacian culture people, who were modern humans, even consensus accepts that, would migrate and consequently arrive and thrive in the for them already prepared range. The differentiation between early modern humans of that period and modern humans today is for consensus purposes only, and is not at all based on genetic differences. The only difference between them is in the number of mutations or even rather methylations. Consensus claims these additional mutations and or methylations to be superior. This while we know from research they make us more prone to diseases. One of the differences between early modern humans and modern humans is that the modern humans that did not coexisted with Neanderthals carry a by consensus supposed Neanderthal fraction. This while, for consensus and alternative historians very paradigmatically, the early modern humans that coexisted in immediate range with Neanderthals, this so for thousands of years do not carry this by consensus supposed Neanderthal fraction. Some of our most advanced and renommated scientists point this out ever more clearly. But consensus and alternative historians keep on negating the absolute improbability of what they go on promoting. This to the general public. Because of this long-term and ongoing misinformation, we keep on missing the evidence of what the past teaches us and what makes humans thrive and keeps them healthy. Coming back to the polygonal structures range migrating humans. Most probably, and if necessary, they would get continuous support from South America and the whole of their Atlantis-like culture. Consequently, no others except these Aurignacian culture people and their related classes would be in place and in power and control in this range during the period here in focus between 47,000 to 41,000 years ago. The next step would be further expanding to the east of the Mediterranean and behind. Please comment with your doubts and remarks, as we pretend to complete or to remake this same video, for it to become more useful and or understandable for you and others. Also ask for more or better illustrations and or proofs, if this need would exist. Please remember that you cannot call yourself alternative historians or historians if you do not bring history or do not bring a fully scientifically supported history without too many paradigms, like consensus still does, and most historians, even alternative historians, now do, this at least the ones that are more notorious and that we are aware of. Thank you.